If you guys are watching, get on social media, use the hashtag #PlayPokemon. Tell us who you think is going to win. Is it going to be our international champion, Tord Reklev, or will it be our Japanese player, Takashi Yoneda?
And looks like Takashi was actually the player that went first. He is opening with Wimpod, so if he wants to, he can actually use that Wimp Out ability. During only your first turn, you have no retreat cost, which is a lot better than 3 retreat costs.
Yes. Kind of similar to what it does in the video game if you played it at all. It kind of runs away. It's just Wimpod for you.
And the Golisopod kind of has some of that too, with bouncing back and forth with its various attacks, as well as an attack that sort of benefits, just like First Impression in the video games, benefits if you sort of come in for a surprise attack.
Yeah. So we see a very common play, Wonder Tag for that Bridget, and we will see 3 basic Pokemon go on the bench for Takashi.
So we're seeing Tapu Koko, a Trubbish, and does he have Drampa on this list as well? He has 1 copy of Drampa, actually. So
Yep.
this is sort of like it's a mirror match, except it completely isn't because Takashi has crammed it full of so many things. It is technically, there is a Drampa and there is Garbodor in here, but there's also Galisopods, like a decent line of Galisopod. There are Tapu Kokos as well. It's a sort of interesting teched out list.
Yeah, it's certainly different than what we're seeing on Tord's side, where it's just like 4 of everything, straight to the point. Nothing super fancy. On the other side, we got, the Tapu Koko, we have Galisopod GX, there's Magearna EX. There's a lot of different things, but looks like Takashi just plays the Bridget, no energy attachment, and gets to retreat to the Tapu Koko, which is nice. It has free retreat, so next turn he can evolve to Galisopod GX, retreat, and then use that First Impression attack. So a pretty strong turn. The only thing he missed is the energy.
Over on Tord's side, looks like very quickly just dumping his full hand of Sycamore, hoping to find some more Pokemon, some more setup. Let's see. There's at least a Drampa down, so you can play that. And you sort of have to take like a turn or 2 to get set up with this kind of deck. I guess that's one thing that Takashi's list sort of remedies is, well, if I don't have a turn 1 energy attachment, on turn 2 all I need is 1 energy and I can start doing First Impression for 120.
Yeah, Tord is in an awkward spot. His only energy for the turn is Rainbow Energy, and that's not really the first thing you want to attach. If you put it on Drampa GX, then your opponent's Drampa GX could just come up and use Righteous Edge and discard your Rainbow Energy. So I don't think Tord will be putting his Drampa GX in the active spot this turn. It seems a little too risky. He might just have to attach to the bench, and then hopefully next turn pull off an attack. But even then, Takashi can get that Galisopod GX on the next turn, use First Impression, knock out Trubbish. So Tord is already under a pretty intense amount of pressure, and we'll see if he can respond to it.
It looks like he's going to go ahead and grab a second Drampa GX from this Ultra Ball, sort of trying to mitigate if one of them does fall. Then it could be maybe a little safer to attach the Rainbow Energy there, or safer to throw one up to sort of take the hits while the other one can at least take some energy. Let's see where he decides to put this Rainbow. Opting for one of the 2 Drampa. And throwing it up into the active. Why not? Can throw some Righteous... Oh, no. Why Righteous Edge when you can Big Wheel?
Yeah, why not draw a fresh hand of 10 cards? And this will present an interesting choice for his opponent. Does Takashi go for his own Righteous Edge and simply discard the energy from his opponent's Drampa GX, or set up a 2-hit knockout with a Galisopod GX?
So, as always, coming off of a Big Wheel, the question is, does your opponent have an N? If they do, they sort of put your big 10-card advantage back down to the real world, regular life. Right off the bat, I don't know if I actually see one on Takashi's side. I don't know if he has a Tapu Lele to fetch it either.
No, I don't think he does. Just a Rainbow Energy of his own. I see Professor Sycamore, Rescue Stretcher. So yeah, nothing here. He does have Galisopod GX as well as Garbodor. So he could have gone for the First Impression if he really wanted to, but looks like he's going to go for the slower Righteous Edge play, and that actually creates kind of an awkward spot. So Takashi can discard the energy from Tord's Drampa, but then he has now attached his own special energy. So next turn, Tord could just attach and do his own Righteous Edge and discard the energy right back. Both players playing a lot of special energy, 4 Rainbow Energy, 4 Double Colorless Energy. So very heavy on the special energy, and they both have a Pokemon that can discard those special energies. So it's very interesting to see.
So there we see Righteous Edge. One thing that could be tough for Tord is now he's sort of in range for a first impression knockout because of the Rainbow Energy he had to attach. His 150 hit points left. That's exactly how much that Golisopod GX would hit for if it's able to get a Grass Energy and come from the bench. So that's, I guess that's one thing that I like that can sort of remedy this deck's early game, is you do need a 3 energy commitment to a Drampa GX to really do this game's early game strategy before you end up doing Trash Lanches in the late game for just a single energy. The Mirror has always been a weird case where if you come in with the special energy, you get Righteous Edged and you lose it. Tord, I'm not sure if he has any basic energy in his hand. He may have to commit another special energy if he wants to.
Yeah, it looks like he has Rainbow and Double Colorless Energy. He does play 1 new card in his deck, the Acerola, that he could do to kind of scoop up his Drampa GX, but just opting to go for the Float Stone. I have to guess we'll see another Righteous Edge from Tord, and that is what we're going to see here. Double Colorless Energy and Choice Band on the benched Drampa GX. So he'll be able to at least hit for 50 damage, and we continue kind of our slow start to this matchup. But there is that big target on the board now, that Drampa GX. Now that the Golisopod has the Choice Band attached, if Drampa GX retreats, all Takashi would need is a Guzma and then a Grass or Rainbow Energy to power up First Impression, and he could get an easy 2-prize knockout.
Yeah, there's this sort of weird exchange where if he's able to keep it on the bench, then he has a self-damaged Pokemon and he can do a big Berserk attack. But if he doesn't, it's going to be a huge 2-prize swing for Takashi. There we see the end, both players shuffling and drawing 6 cards. We do see the Garbotoxin Garbodor coming down over on Tord's side, so abilities are out of the question right now.
And that's
and
a big
Field Blower's
blower.
big.
Yeah, Golisopod GX matches up pretty well against this Drampa Garbodor deck in general. First Impression does exactly enough damage to knock out any of the Garbodor in the deck. And then if you have a Choice Band, the Crossing Cut GX attack can do 180 damage, which is exactly enough to knock out a Drampa GX. So it just mathematically lines up very well. And it actually looks like Tord decided to pass that turn.
He didn't do the Righteous Edge at all. And again, if he does do it, he opens himself up to just getting edged right back and losing a Double Colorless Energy.
Yep.
Instead, sort of conceding the fact that, well, maybe you can just knock out my Drampa. Do it if you can, but you're going to need another Choice Band to do it.
And 3 item cards in the discard pile for Takashi. Something to keep in mind. Among all this Drampa GX counterplay, we do still have Trashalanche in the background. But we do see the Guzma, and Takashi's heading straight for that Drampa GX that has the Double Colorless Energy on it. And saying, you know what, I am going to go right after it. Tord was kind of hoping his opponent didn't have access to it. And he didn't use Righteous Edge because he didn't want to get his energy discarded right back, but it ended up backfiring.
And so, yep, there we go. Another Righteous Edge. That means another energy into the discard pile. This time a Double Colorless, which is one of the most important ones that fuels this deck.
Yeah, something somewhat interesting about this situation. Tord could play something like Guzma here and bring the Golisopod GX into the active spot. And if Takashi didn't have a way to send it back to the bench, First Impression would only do 30 damage. And that could be an effective way to kind of go after it. But it looks like all Tord has is the Professor Sycamore this turn.
He was able to play out his whole hand. He has a lot of tool cards attached on his side. In fact, every single Pokemon in play has a tool attached to it right now.
It's tool time.
That's a Field Blower's dream down the line if Takashi wants to start powering up his Trashalanche. But instead, the Righteous Edge war continues. Yet another special energy hitting the discard pile.
When will it end, Josh?
I don't know. It's certainly a conservative play. You sort of want to be the last one to call Righteous Edge. And unfortunately, again for Tord, he has to attach a special energy to do it. Both these players do run a much lower count of basic energy. Only 2 basic energy in Takashi's deck, only 4 in Tord's.
The multi-switch coming in.
I didn't even see that in the list.
It's not a card we see very often. It allows you to move an energy card from your benched Pokemon to your active Pokemon. So this does allow you to move special energy, so it is different than the energy switch that we've seen for years. It is not a card we see played very often, but it could end up being a big card here.
Yeah,
if Takashi could get double colorless energy and a choice band.
I don't know if he got the choice band, but he did get the double. That would have been the best surprise Berserk out of nowhere. That's actually a great card. Synergizes well because you can attach the rainbow to the bench to apply the damage, but still commit it to the active Pokemon afterward. I actually really like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't end up paying off completely here. He can hit for a lot of damage, just not quite a knockout.
Yeah, and this could just be a very strange matchup. I mean, if Tord recognizes that his opponent only plays 2 basic energy in his entire deck, maybe his strategy just becomes run his opponent out of energy. There's 4 double colorless, 4 rainbow, and then just 2 grass energy. So if you can just chip away at your opponent, discard all their special energy. He does not have a way to recover them, no special charge or anything like that. You could simply win by grinding your opponent out of resources. And it's not something we see very often anymore, but it is a viable strategy.
Yeah, it's definitely unconventional, but another thing too is Tord does run multiple copies of Drampa, while Takashi only has the one that he happens to be leading with here. Does Takashi run ways to recycle Pokemon? I'm not sure if there's a rescue stretcher. Okay. But at the moment, damage is slowly accumulating too on Takashi's Drampa because it's going to be getting hit by the choice banded Drampa. Here we see Rainbow Energy committed to the bench, Garbodor. I'm not 100% sure what the item total is in each player's discard pile. It's slowly building up, but nothing crazy. But there we go. Believe it or not, another Righteous Edge.
Yeah, the count is building up, and Tord has to be a little anxious as well because he has 5 tools on his side. So a field blower at any point could put 2 more into his discard pile. But strangely enough, I don't think his opponent is playing any field blower.
Oh,
so
wow.
Actually,
yeah, they're
playing 2 field blowers.
It's written on the side of the deck list. There were so many single copies of cards that it just got thrown into the corner of the paper.
And I was like, wow, there's no way they don't play any. It combos so well with Trashalanche, and it's just such a strong card in general. But yeah, so at any point, Takashi could just drop a turn where he's double field blower, put 4 items in your discard, Trashalanche for a bunch of damage. That is a very real risk as we're entering kind of the middle to late stages of this game. But now Tord finally attaches a basic energy.
The first one attached to the game. It looks strange just seeing it. The special energies have become so strong. So once again, another Righteous Edge, this one powered by the Choice Band. So putting up 110 damage on this other active Drampa. The ball's back in Takashi's court.
Yeah, and something interesting to point out is Takashi does play Magearna EX. So with a Rainbow Energy, he could have been stopping this Righteous Edge discard, but there actually is Garbotoxin in effect as well. So some counterplay from Tord. I don't even think he knows that Magearna EX is in his opponent's deck, but it has stopped a pretty big part of his strategy.
I think that's one of the best things about Garbotoxin is sometimes it just helps you beat things that you didn't even know were coming. So many cards that are strong tech cards in this game have a unique ability. And when you can just say, well, no abilities right now, please, that's a big deal. I think that's another reason why we see the Wobbuffet sort of teched into Tord's list. Just another way to keep his opponent out of abilities before the Garbotoxin comes down.
Yeah, that Wobbuffet is an interesting inclusion for Tord. I wonder if he's scared of Vileplume decks, or even just Decidueye decks in general.
Yeah, they're certainly very strong. Here we see pulling up a benched Garbodor. With Guzma, we're going to see Trashalanche and it looks like the trash-on-trash violence has begun.
Yeah.
And it looks like we now have counters for how many items are in each player's discard pile. With 4 there and weakness, it's an easy knockout.
Yeah, so Takashi saying, all right, enough of this nonsense. No more righteous edge. Let it stop. Time for the Trash-a-Lanche. And he will take the first prize in this match 15 minutes into the round. Only 1 prize taken. We'll see. I have to imagine the pace will pick up now that we've entered this part of the game. We're going to see haymakers thrown back and forth with that Trash-a-Lanche attack. But it's still to be seen who has the advantage entering this late stage of the game. Takashi does still have that Golisopod GX, which has yet to kind of jump in the fray. It has some powerful attacks. He has not yet used his GX attack, so that's still on the table. Trash-a-Lanche growing stronger by the turn, but Tord has discarded quite a few energy, and he will do it once again.
Another Righteous Edge. Opt to just attach another basic energy to his other Drampa, not even try, and fish for the Garbodor and get a Trash-a-Lanche return knockout. I think he's really fully committed to this energy denial strategy.
We see at least 2 rainbow energy in there now, 3 rainbow energy. So that is going to be a problem for Takashi, as he only runs 4 rainbow and the 2 grass. So he only has 1 energy left to Trash-a-Lanche with. The grass will allow him to attack with Golisopod GX, but if Tord can just knock out that Golisopod GX, all Takashi has left is double Colas energy for the most part from there. And he'll have to attack with things like Tapu Lele GX and perhaps that Tapu Koko.
There's a card that I'm sure Tord has been fearing for a long time. The Field Blower, going to discard 2 of his very available tool cards. That's going to add 2 more items to the discard pile, bringing his total up to 7.
Yep, but again, Takashi only has 1 rainbow energy left. It's his last way to use Trash-a-Lanche. So even though there's a lot of items in there, it won't matter anymore. Now, I don't know if Tord can even know this, but hey, I mean, that might be a big factor in how this game finishes.
One thing that could maybe be relevant is this Fighting Fury belt. You just put on his Drampa, could put it out of knockout range. We also see an Ultra Ball. I believe the only supporter in his hand is going to be a Sycamore. I can only imagine he's just grabbing something to throw away, hoping to dig for that last rainbow. It is in deck. I'm actually not sure if he prized any of his basic grass either. It wasn't something I was really thinking about when he threw his prize cards out, but it might actually be a big deal.
Yeah, I still see 1 grass energy
I think
in
I just
there.
saw them both.
So he should be fine for the most part, but opting to take this Wimpod, and he's going to dump it with the Professor Sycamore. Interesting that he didn't decide to take a card like Magirna EX or perhaps another Trubbish, things he really can't even use in this matchup. Decides to get rid of the Wimpod, though, probably thinking it's just too slow.
Does he get the rainbow? I see lots of doubles. I don't think I see a rainbow, or even a grass.
Well, looks like nothing. So Tord's Righteous Edge strategy is paying off here, and you have to wonder, will he just continue to target down the Pokemon with the energy? If he has something like Guzma, would he go after the Golisopod GX and simply Righteous Edge and discard the double colorless energy? Try to keep his opponent off of attacking for as long as possible.
Yeah, it's kind of cruel, but kind of genius, honestly. Just trying to run his opponent out of options. There we see the double colorless actually committed to the Drampa on the bench, so that could also be a target to pull up and just knock out without a Righteous Edge.
And now Tord does have the option to Versus Seeker. There is Guzma in the discard pile. So he'll have to decide, does he want to go after the Drampa GX with that double colorless energy on it, or the Golisopod GX? It feels like going after Golisopod is better.
Yeah, if you're going for like full denial, it's not. It's also has a lot more HP, so if you can get a chip shot in here, that can add up.
Exactly. If you get knocked out by one of those Pokemon, you want it to be Drampa GX because it has so much damage on it already.
Oh, Tord can't resist, though, pulling up the Drampa.
Sure. It does have Fighting Fury Belt on it, though, so it can't really retreat or anything like that. So that could certainly factor into the decision. My only thought was, you know, if you discard the energy from Golisopod and then your opponent powers up Drampa GX, all you have to do is Berserk and knock it out, and then you get rid of all of its energy. But it looks like Tord's just going to Berserk either way and take out that Drampa GX, force his opponent to draw a Grass energy.
Yeah, and I mean, his opponent hasn't shown one yet, so I could definitely see the confidence there. Obviously, us with the eye in the sky, we see things that Tord doesn't. Tord's saying, well, I should probably knock out this threat here. Now that we're back on Takashi's side, we could actually see a knockout. It looks like he would still... No, he would not need a choice band. There's 4 damage counters. But he just needs a Grass and a GX attack.
Sure, and with that choice band, all he needs is a Grass and use First Impression.
Yeah, you can save the GX now. There's the Magearna finally coming down on the bench, but Garbotoxin has been in place since basically turn 2.
Yeah, if you're Tord and you've never seen your opponent's deck before, you might be thinking, oh, he runs the Rainbow Energy so he can attack with Golisopod, and you would assume your opponent is playing Psychic Energy as their basic energy type. But it's actually the reverse. I have to think if he knew his opponent was playing Grass Energy instead of Psychic, he probably would have gone after the Golisopod GX, but there is no way for him to know that.
So there we see the second Field Blower coming down on Takashi's side, discarding 2 more tools. Now there are 10 in Tord's discard pile. So Garbotoxin, so not Garbotoxin, Trash Avalanche basically knocks out anything on his side of the field now.
Yeah.
That said, can Takashi even find his last energy to even do the attack?
And looks like the answer is no this turn. Doesn't
Oh,
find
wow,
a
no
grass.
grass either.
Yeah, he's only really got 3 outs in his deck, the 2 Grass Energy and the 1 Rainbow. Unable to find either one, and looks like Tord might be able to slowly chip away with this Drampa GX.
Yeah, I think this Drampa survives another turn. That's something you never want to allow your opponent to have the opportunity to do. It just has this great dual threat of it can discard your energy, or it can just easily knock out 2 prize options. It can knock out the Magearna, it can knock out the Tapu Lele, and Tord could maybe just start paving his way to the win now.
And Takashi has to commit the energy to his active Tapu Koko. Just going to have to Flying Flip here. It does spread 20 damage to all of Tord's Pokemon, but it's really not improving any math that I'm aware of. He just kind of wants to do an attack, right? There's only so much he can do with his double colorless energy at this point.
Yeah, I feel like all of his Drampa were already in basically 1-hit range. Really unfortunate for Takashi. All he needs is a single Grass Energy, and he's getting an easy knockout and applying some decent pressure with a Golisopod that probably will not be knocked out in return. Now, though, this just gives Tord another turn to do basically whatever he wants.
The second Field Blower from Takashi was pretty big, discarding 2 Floatstone. Now, if Tord wants to use Guzma, he does not have a free retreating option to go into. So this is where a Lysander might be better than Guzma. This awkward situation where all of your Floatstones have been discarded. You have no other Pokemon on the bench you can really switch into to attack with. And I think Tord would love to target down one of those 2 prize Pokemon GX on Takashi's bench. He's at 4 prize cards right now. Knocking out a GX would put him at 2, and then he would just have to knock out 1 more to take this game. But we'll see if he can pull off a big turn here.
Yeah, as we know, he runs 4 copies of Tapu Lele so that he can grab the supporter that he needs at any given point. Let's see what supporter he ends up grabbing here. Guzma is in the deck, but like you said, it's just slightly awkward. He could Guzma and just Righteous Edge, keep that going, deny his opponent energies, and then you also have the awkward situation where your Golisopod's stuck in the active position.
Yeah.
Tord definitely has a couple of different options to frustrate his opponent. Looks like he is at least opting to grab the Guzma off of this Wonder Tag.
The first of many sightings of your boy this weekend, Guzma. We will be seeing this quite a bit this weekend, and it's easy to see why Lysander has been such a powerful card over the past, 3+ years now, and it's just so strong to be able to target down your opponent's Pokemon. Even in this situation, the awkward having to switch your Pokemon, Tord will work with it. Just being able to grab a Pokemon off your opponent's bench and force it into the active spot gives you so many options and so much control.
And there we see yet another Righteous Edge. How many energy has he discarded? How many times has he announced that attack this game?
Oh, and Takashi finally draws the Grass Energy. 1 turn too late, perhaps.
Wow. That would have been an easy knockout last turn. Now it's weird. I don't even know if he can retreat twice based on what I see in his hand.
And now he's in a very awkward situation. He has the grass energy, but Golisopod is active. It hasn't gone to the bench. It already has Choice Band on it, so he can't play a Floatstone to retreat. And he has 180 HP left because of the 30 damage on Golisopod already. So a Choice Band and double colorless energy from Tord could be a berserk knockout.
Yep.
Just slow, methodical play from Tord. It is easy to see why he was the international champion. He adapted to this game perfectly. Probably a matchup he has never seen before, but in the middle of it just realized, my opponent plays a lot of special energy. I'm not even going to try to knock stuff out. I'm just going to try to discard all their energy.
Yeah, you can just tell he's almost a step ahead in how quickly he can analyze his opponents and do the best with the deck that he has. He doesn't have any special attacks outside of, I guess, like the Wobbuffet now, but he just figures I can use my basic strategy, but still sometimes bring it in unconventional ways. Bringing this Golisopod up, why not? I can put it perfectly in a knockout range. Discarding all their energy, using Righteous Edge like 6 times in the game, why not? That works. So here we've reached sort of the breaking point. Once you already have 10 items in the discard pile, what's 2 more? It doesn't really matter. Ultra Ball, I figure he's trying to grab something like a Garbodor. I don't even know if there's one in the deck.
Yeah, there might be one on his prize cards that could be impacting this quite a bit. I think he wanted to grab it, attach to the active retreat, and Trash-a-Lanche for a knockout. There's 9 item cards in Takashi's discard pile that would have been a perfect 180 knockout. But without the Garbodor in his deck, he's just going to have to settle for Professor Sycamore and maybe hope to draw Rescue Stretcher to get back that Garbodor.
Yeah, I think he's had to discard a couple maybe through Sycamores or Ultra Balls early in the game. Because I don't even think he's played a single Garbodor. Oh, he had one Garbotoxic Garbodor that got knocked out very early. And then one's in the prize cards.
So does he attach this Psychic Energy to his active Drampa GX just to give himself the option to retreat? No, he's saying, all right, now I could just draw the double colorless energy and the Choice Band, so let's go for that instead.
Well, here we go. I don't think I see a double.
I do see the Rescue Stretcher, though.
Does he have a way to retreat out?
Yeah, he can just attach.
It's a little ugly, waste of energy, but not a waste of pressure.
Yeah, and now with Guzma, you don't have to worry about your Pokemon getting stranded. As long as you have Versus Seeker in your deck, you can easily just switch out your Pokemon and don't have to worry about it getting stuck.
So there we see a Rainbow Energy, both energies discarding, moving the slightly bigger Drampa, and actually opting to throw the Drampa up, saving the the Trash-a-Lanche to end the game.
Yeah.
But here we see Choice Band down, active Drampa GX. It's going to be the perfect 180 for the knockout.
And even playing the Versus Seeker for the Guzma because he has Tapu Lele GX left in his deck. Brilliant play from our Norwegian player and our reigning North American International Champion. Tord Reklev is going to take this first game with a swift Trash-a-Lanche here to end things. And there we have it. Guzma, game over. Tord Reklev takes game number 1.
That was a very long game. That might be the deciding game right there, just because it took so much time. And you saw Tord very intelligently using that time. He played a slow game. He played the long game. But it ended up paying off incredibly. He ran his opponent out of energy to the point where they weren't able to get any of their big attacks. You got a feel for Takashi. I feel like he put himself in a decent position where that Golisopod just needed 1 energy and it was going to apply a lot of pressure and damage and have a large body that would be difficult to deal with. But sometimes when you run these decks, these specialized decks, you're running all these like Rainbow and a very low count of basic energy. Sometimes you can just not see that and stretch yourself a little too thin.
Yeah, Takashi might have fallen into a trap of kind of playing Tord's game. There was a moment early on where he had to decide between attacking with Golisopod GX to do some big damage to his opponent's Drampa GX or playing the Righteous Edge game. And he decided to go for Righteous Edge. And eventually that was just a battle Tord ended up winning because he simply plays more basic energy than his opponent. And eventually all the Rainbow energy were pretty much gone. Takashi didn't even have options to attack with his own Trash-a-Lanche, and well, maybe he'll take a different line of play in game number 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw maybe a more aggressive setup with the Golisopod, trying to just two-hit knockout, getting rid of the Drampas before they become a problem. Maybe not just because of the damage, but just because they can run out your energy. You're only running 2 basic in your entire deck, so you have to make those rainbow energies that you attach count. A rainbow energy on a Golisopod can deal 120 or more damage. A rainbow energy on a Drampa is dealing 20 damage.
Yep, so if you are watching, folks, get on social media, use the hashtag #PlayPokemon. Tell us who you think is going to win this round 1 matchup. Will it be the North American International Champion Tord Reklev, or will it be Takashi Yoneda making the comeback here with his Golisopod GX?
Yep. And as you guys can see, this Garbotoxin combination with Trash Avalanche deck is just so incredibly strong. Speaking of which, Garbotoxin actually not going to be available for Takashi. And looks like we're about to see the prize cards as well over on Tord's side. But this is going to be a storyline you're going to see throughout this day, maybe even going all the way into the finals. The Garbodor deck is so strong, and it just still looks great here.
Absolutely, so far so good for Tord Reklev, but anything can happen here in game number 2. I have to think Golisopod GX is just so good against both Garbodor and Drampa GX. We have to see it in a bigger role in game number 2 if Takashi's going to want to win. He needs to find that basic grass energy sooner so he can attack with that Pokemon.
2 Lele in the prize cards. This could be a problem for some decks, but not for Tord's. He runs 4.
Yep. Oh, ugly starting hand for our Japanese player. Lots of energy, but only Professor Sycamore as his supporter card. Oh, he just passes the turn?
Wow. Oh, man. That just opens up an easy Righteous Edge. I think he's just figuring if I discard all the special energy I lose, maybe I can just draw an N. But that's going to put him in an awful spot. You're losing your special energy anyway.
Yeah, it's not very often you look at your opening hand with a Professor Sycamore and you say, oh no, this is bad. But
There
this
it
is one
goes.
of them.
Edge number 1.
Ugh.
And draws what? Now this energy's just going to go away. And now he just figures I have to Sycamore. Tord looking at the discard pile. I can only imagine his eyes widening as he sees all these special energies hitting the discard. We have some setup attackers now. See, like this is something Takashi could have had on turn 1 and then evolved up on turn 2. I just didn't want to sacrifice those resources, but it puts him 1 turn behind.
Yeah, Tord actually didn't do a whole lot on his turn, though. He didn't play a supporter. He didn't bench any additional Pokemon. It's actually not a good spot for him. This could be very dangerous. He can Righteous Edge once again, discarding, I think, the 2nd or 3rd double colorless energy that would go into Takashi's discard pile. But if he simply has another one, he can Energy Drive once again for the knockout. And without any backup, Tord's going to be in some trouble if that's the case.
Yeah, that's definitely one way that Takashi can start applying pressure. Even if he was sort of forced to back against the wall, it may end up working out. So we see Righteous Edge. The question is, can he find another double?
Looks like just fighting Fury Belt. No supporter card for Takashi. He does have Golisopod GX and a Rainbow Energy, but no way to retreat, and is just forced to pass the turn.
Wow, not even committing the energy. Figures I might as well wait. They might just pull me up and discard it, and I don't have that many more special energy left. And so...
so Tord drew N for the turn. He noticed his opponent didn't really play much. So this is your spot where you need to make a decision. Do you play the N, give your opponent a fresh hand of 6 cards, but also giving you a new hand? Or do you simply use Big Wheel GX and force your opponent to draw something? If they did top deck something, you could be in quite a bit of trouble, but I think the sensible play here is just use Big Wheel GX and further your board position.
Yeah, even committing the double colorless energy over onto the Trubbish, just in case, giving you that Garbodor attack option. Actually relevant when you're doing a Garbodor against another Garbodor.
Yeah, good old Acid Spray. Discarding energy can be annoying as well, as we saw in
Yeah,
the first
I was
game.
going to say it synergizes perfectly. Even the Trubbish discards energy now that I think about it.
Or you could have the rare case where you attack with the Garbotoxin Garbodor, go with the big offensive bomb. That is not one I have ever seen in competitive play, so I'd love to see that.
That's a 4 energy attack, right?
Yes. Oh, and this could backfire as Takashi top decks his Acerola. Now he gets to promote Glycobot GX, attach, get the bonus from first impression, and he has a Tapu Lele GX back in his hand so he can search for a supporter card. What a massive top deck.
That is a huge turnaround. Tord had the option of taking the knockout there if he wanted it.
Yeah, he also had a Guzma in hand in case he wanted to bring out his opponent's Glycobot GX to prevent this kind of a play, but he figured, hey, my opponent didn't do anything. He's got to top deck something, and his odds of doing that aren't very high. But when it does happen, oh boy, this is what you could be staring down.
Wow, yeah, he just gets instantly knocked out on his Drampa, and you can sort of see he's in a horrible spot. He's going to need some evolutions. He's going to have to work back up with Drampa. Now, Takashi still has a low count of energy and especially special energy, but what do you do with this weird Trubbish in the active spot? Do you retreat it? Do you evolve up and try and attack?
Oh yeah, I think you certainly evolve. You go for an attack here. My question is, if you have the choice of Trash Avalanche or Offensive Bomb, which one do you even go for? Offensive Bomb can be pretty disruptive. I believe it's Poison and Confused. That could put a wrench in a Glycopod GX. And it does 90 with the Choice Band. With the Poison, it sets up a 2-hit knockout. Could we see our first ever Offensive Bomb?
I am praying for it. It would be amazing. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw like a Gunk Shot as well.
Yeah, we're going to see Acid Spray.
Or, sorry, not Gunk Shot, Acid Spray.
One of those poison
They're all,
things.
gross, goopy attacks,
Tor does need to find the Garbodor to do any of these things. And it looks like he does have one in hand. Looks like he might just decide to go for the Righteous Edge, though. Acid Spray is very tempting because with the Choice Band, it could do 100 damage. Set up for a 2-hit knockout because of that Rainbow Energy attachment. But Tor's just going for the guaranteed thing. Remembering what happened last game when he just simply used Righteous Edge repeatedly on his opponent's Pokemon. And especially after Takashi had to discard so many special energy early on, Tord is just trying to lock this game up by getting rid of all of his opponent's resources yet again.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to theorize all these crazy Garbodor attacks. Like, he has the available energy to do them. But at the end of the day, Righteous Edge won him game one. He may even be trying to play against the clock. If you can slow your opponent down a little bit, you could maybe prevent this game from concluding. It is starting to get a bit more aggressive, but the question is, what does Takashi even do to follow up here if his energy is discarded?
Yeah, he would need something like a Guzma or Acerola to get that Glycopod GX out of the active spot. We'll see if he can manage to do that here. He does find a Drampa GX of his own, so we could see another Righteous Edge battle.
And here's yet another double colorless energy, this time committed to the Drampa.
He does find the Float Stone, so he can retreat and use Righteous Edge if he wants to, but again, is this just a losing battle for him? He's lost so much energy already, whereas Tord really hasn't. Sure, you can discard this one, but then Tord could just attach a Psychic Energy and Righteous Edge your other special energy away. So it looks like Takashi recognizes this, says, no, I'm just going to set up that Tapu Koko, and I'm going to hope you don't have Guzma to target down my energy.
He has put himself wide open to a Guzma here.
Yep.
There's a big hand on Tord's side. I don't know if he has it. That said, an Ultra Ball often means Tapu Lele. I know that he prized two, so the question is, does he still have one left in the deck?
He hasn't played one yet.
I just realized, he hasn't played one this whole game. So there's an easy out to Guzma. Trying to figure out which resource to throw away on the Ultra Ball. Ending up...
Oh, no. Don't shuffle your hand in.
Yeah, wait, no, I'm not playing the end. We've seen that card happen so many times.
Oh, yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, good catch. Tord stopping his opponent, saying, no, don't do that. Not like this. But yeah, we're going to see Ultra Ball here for Tapu Lele GX. Wonder Tag, probably grabbing Guzma, targeting down that double colorless energy. And this has to be torture for Takashi in round one. Slowly getting whittled away by your opponent's Righteous Edge.
Yeah, just you shake his head.
Yeah, you put so much time and effort into choosing your deck here for the World Championships. So many hours of practice and preparation. You feel like you have a deck that's well positioned against the rest of the field, and you lose to something simple
you lose
like
to
Righteous Edge over and over.
You lose to the only deck that was guaranteed to show up at this tournament. the most popular deck in the field.
Yeah.
That's always a bad feeling when you're trying to take out and beat everything, and then you lose to something that you've probably been practicing against the entire weekend.
Sure, and maybe just people he is practicing against haven't used this strategy against him, and a player as excellent as Tord has been able to adapt and say, yeah, I can just target down your energy and discard them all, and then once I've worn you down, then I can attack for the win.
So here we see another Righteous Edge, another energy hitting the discard pile. I want to say that Takashi now has 3 rainbow and 3 double colorless in the discard pile. That is insane. That is more than half of his energy.
Yeah. And once again is unable to find grass energy. And something else that might be frustrating for him is that Tord just has not taken prizes in these games. So he's unable to even use his teammates to search out that grass energy. You might even consider like leaving something to get knocked out just so you can teammates for a grass energy and have an energy that actually stays on the board.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what he was hoping for a little bit just by throwing up the Tapu Koko. Like, hey, would you like to take a prize? It's only one prize. Please just take any prize. Yeah. And without being able to activate the teammates, Takashi left with not really a lot to do. Doesn't have a great draw engine right now.
Yeah, and just like he did in the previous game, he doesn't prioritize getting multiple Wimpod into play. Just wants one Golisopod GX, where it feels like that would be the biggest attacker in this matchup. But he is once again playing into the Righteous Edge war, and he does find a basic energy. He finally finds one of his grass. Will he commit it to the active, though, to Righteous Edge? Then Tord would need double colorless energy and a choice band to get a knockout.
Yeah, looks like just committing to the active here. And there it is. Discarding double colorless.
And there we go, another Righteous Edge. I've never seen that attack used so many times in a single match before.
You know what? In the mirror, it's pretty common. In fact, the player that does the last Righteous Edge can often pull away with it. But yeah, because Takashi is also running so many rainbow energy as well, not just to power up a Drampa, but to work with the many different types of attackers that he has in this deck, it just makes him extra susceptible to it. Can Tord actually take a knockout? I'm trying to think, 150?
If he has double colorless and choice band, he can get a knockout here.
Okay.
Since there is damage on his benched Garbodor.
Yeah, he could just hit for the classic 180.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it looks like Tord is going for that Garbotoxin Garbodor once again. Takashi has not favored getting his into play, not valuing it in this matchup, but Tord certainly has. He, for whatever reason, is saying, I don't want my opponent to use abilities. I don't want a late game Tapu Lele GX Wonder Tag to influence this game. So he has prioritized getting it into play.
All right, so here we see he has his Garbodors set up. Both players have played a shockingly light amount of item cards so far. That's something you have just been trained to do in the mirror. That said, here comes another item, this time N. And believe it or not, despite the fact that Takashi feels like he's in such a terrible spot, he did take the first 2 prize cards. So he's going to only get 4 off of this N, while Tord's going to get 6.
Yeah, Tord has not taken a knockout yet, even though he's really ahead in the resource game.
He was really close on that Tapu Lele in the beginning.
Yeah.
But yeah, got denied.
Yep. So does Tord find the cards he needs here? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't see double or choice band. So actually isn't kind of weird. He does have Float Stone, so he could move out of the way if he truly wanted to there. Actually, for the first time in a situation where his opponent has a basic energy attached to them, can't Righteous Edge. What's the strategy now that I can no longer do this?
Yeah, but Tord wishes he's playing Plumeria like Frank Diaz did yesterday. Then it would be
level
complete
plays.
destruction, yeah.
I feel like that's the kind of card that's the farthest away from Tord's strategy of complete consistency. So instead, looks like he's just going to commit the Rainbow to the bench, hoping that he can get some Trash Lanches in the end game.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll retreat and Trash Lanche. He can do 110 damage, setting up for a knockout, forcing his opponent to have double colorless energy to even get the knockout, and 3 of them are gone. His opponent could simply Righteous Edge to discard the energy, but I think if you're Tord, you're fine with that exchange this late in the game.
So there we see just Trashalanche. It's basically working up a 2-hit knockout. I think you're okay with that. If your opponent does commit the double, then you just knock them out following it, and your opponent's completely out of DC. That said, I mean, does Takashi even have a way to draw more cards? I don't see it. I see Guzma and a rainbow.
Yeah, he has teammates, which he can't play right now because Tord still has not taken a knockout. And it looks like he's going for Guzma, and he's going right after his opponent's Garbotoxin, Garbodor, and hey, we're going to see Galisapod GX finally attack using First Impression for 120 damage and the knockout.
Yeah, going to take one prize card there, which is kind of awkward in sort of the prize trade. You're going to have to take 2 more knockouts now. If he had Choice Band attached to that Galisapod, then it could have knocked out the Drampa. But without that, this is sort of what you have to settle for. Apply pressure where you can.
Yeah, this is certainly not out of the realm of possibility for Takashi. If he can find his last double colorless energy and Berserk for the knockout, go down to 1 prize card. I guess the major problem here is he is out of rainbow energy. 3 in the discard, 1 on the active, so he will not be able to use Trashalanche at all this game. And that means all of his big attacks are going to have to be multiple turns of attaching. If he could, I think his only way to win now is double colorless energy, find the very last one, put it onto Drampa GX, Berserk for a 2-prize knockout, and also get a Wimpod on the bench, and then find his second Galisapod GX with a grass energy, and then Guzma bring out a Trubbish or Garbodor, and First Impression for the win. But it will take every single last resource in his deck to pull all this off.
Yeah, he has 3 prizes left, and that's really the only route that he can take it. I guess another way would be, I'm trying to do the math. He could do the GX attack with the active Galisapod.
Yeah, well, that thing is getting knocked out, I'm pretty sure.
Does Tord have, Tord's already got Floatstone on. Yeah. I think that's, like you said, his only out left. He needs to find a way to get a 2-prize knockout and a 1-prize knockout. I don't even know if he has a way to draw cards yet. I'm not sure what he grabbed off of his prizes.
He does have teammates, so if he gets knocked out, he'll be fine. I think Tord is actually eyeing up a teammates of his own. I think he's using Wonder Tag here. I'm trying to figure out what's exactly happening. He pulled aside 2 cards that he wanted to grab, but I don't see a teammates anywhere. So he might just have to settle for N instead.
Yeah, it's still decent. It's still, I guess an N is, it's basically a ace trainer right now.
Yeah.
Putting Takashi to 3 cards toward still getting 6. I keep forgetting he hasn't taken a knockout. He's working on it. Rescue Stretcher, bringing the Garbodor back into play. And there we see the end.
Yeah, Tord actually getting a Garbotoxin once again. He actually needs it to use Righteous Edge here if he wants to because of Magearna EX's Mystic Heart ability. It'll prevent the effect of Drampa GX's attack. So if Tord can find a Pokemon tool here, he can reactivate Garbotoxin and shut down Mystic Heart and discard the energy from Galisapod GX. If he doesn't, he might be in some trouble. If Takashi can just find his remaining energy cards, he can power up some big attacks and certainly power through and win this game.
And as we knew, Takashi had no way to draw cards. That end to 3 may have actually helped him.
And we're just going to see a Trashalanche here for looks like 110 damage. Somehow Takashi has gotten through this game without playing too many item cards. And this will not be a knockout. Can he respond here? If he can find something like a Guzma or a double colorless energy, he can put himself in a position to win this game.
So here we go. Starting off the turn, there's the Sycamore. That's the way to draw more cards. Find your last double colorless energy.
He also has Versus Seeker, so he could simply play the Guzma or even Acerola here. If he plays Guzma, he can target down the Garbotoxin, Garbodor, knock it out with First Impression, go down to 2 prize cards, and then he could Berserk with Drampa GX for the final 2 prize cards on his following turn. The Acerola is an option, but I'm not really sure what you pick up. You don't have a big attack to follow it up. You could Righteous Edge and hope your opponent doesn't have another energy, but where does it really get you?
Yeah, here we go with Acerola. Does pick up all the damage off of the field.
Oh, actually, it gives him the rainbow energy back.
But it gives him that energy, and
now he can Trash-a-Lanche. That's actually a huge play.
Yeah, able to preserve. He can even put Wind Pod back down if he wants to have that option still
and now
in play.
Time has been called, so this is the final stretch. Takashi is turn 0 in this situation. When time is called, you get 3 additional turns, but the player whose turn it currently is considered turn 0. So Takashi will get effectively 2 turns, and so will Tord. And the game will not end unless, it goes to a conclusion. So Takashi needs to take his final 2 prize cards on his next turn in order to win this match. And this is going to be a stressful spot for Tord, trying to figure out what to do here.
Yeah.
Typically what you do in this spot is just promote a Pokemon with that only gives up 1 prize card and hope your opponent doesn't have a way to take their last 2, but you do something trickier here, like, I don't know, play an N, Righteous Edge away your opponent's energy and force them to have multiple cards to pull off the win?
Yeah, your opponent will get to draw 3 total cards, and they'll need 2 very specific ones.
If you Righteous Edge, at this point, Tord might recognize that his opponent has played 0 Psychic Energy and only Rainbow Energy to power up Trash-a-Lanche. So,
and he's going to check right now. That would be his final Rainbow, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And so Tord could recognize this and his opponent discard the energy off the active. And typically that would be a horrifying situation, because if your opponent just has an energy to use Trash-a-Lanche, you would lose. But in this particular spot, he knows that's not an option. So it would force his opponent to have the final double colorless energy and a Guzma to Berserk for the win, just to get a tie here. So if Tord can play the N, he has activated Garbo Toxin once again to fight through Magearna EX's Mystic Heart. He could prevent his opponent from winning this game.
Yeah, I think that's probably the safest way to deny. It certainly would feel horrible if your opponent draws the 2 very specific cards that they need off of 3 total cards, but that's the best way to do it, I think.
It's going to come down to the wire here. This is what it's all about, Josh. This is the excitement that only N can provide. Will Takashi find his game-winning cards off of these 2 cards plus the draw for the turn? Tord's going to do everything in his power to prevent his opponent from winning here, but will it be enough?
It's going to come down to Double and Guzma on Takashi's side. I saw a Choice Band as one of the cards. I did not see what the second card was.
Going to keep us in suspense. But we are almost certain to see a Righteous Edge here from Tord if he recognizes what's going on here, which would be an intelligent play. He also has the Field Blower, which would add another card to the equation. It would force his opponent to find a Choice Band as well, because otherwise he can't Guzma, bring out Tapu Lele GX and Berserk.
Oh, well, I would say that about seals the game, but I know that there's a Choice Band in Takashi's hand. But yeah, all he can do really is apply as much pressure, try and disrupt his opponent as much as he can. And it's funny, because if you look at the scoreboard, well, Takashi only has 2 prizes left. Tord has a full 6, but in these timed games, sometimes the strategy is doing everything you can to make sure that a game is not completed.
Yeah. Oh, another thing Takashi could have is simply Acerola and double colorless energy. That's something else Tord needs to keep in mind. But I think Field Blower here is the obvious play. Limit your opponent's options depending on how many Guzma are in the discard pile. If you only see 1, you can probably deduce that there's 1 left in their deck. So if you play the Field Blower, you force your opponent to have multiple cards if they have the Guzma. It's all about giving yourself the best odds in this situation. And Tord is considering simply retreating to Wobbuffet.
Trying to, I guess, lock out any, the abilities are already locked
wow.
out. That's just throwing up 1 prize. Wow.
And then it's just, does his opponent have Guzma?
Well, let's see. I see Ultra Ball. I see Choice Band. I see Teammates.
Those are not Guzma. Your boy has let Takashi down in his hour of need, And it looks like there will not be a 2-prize knockout. Takashi will be 1 prize card short. And Tord Reklev will hold on to win round number 1 here at the World Championships.
Just barely, sort of stonewalling his way through just to make sure that the game is not completed on time. And he certainly did everything he could to deny all the options that Takashi had. At the very end of the game, it looks like Takashi just wasn't able to get it. He can get his 5th prize, but not his 6th. And that's the game.
And that is it. Tord Reklev wins a nail-biter here in round number 1. If his opponent just had perhaps one more turn, that could have been a much different game. I think it almost certainly would have been over if